Hey everybody, Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Lenovo Yoga Pro 2. Now, much like its predecessor, the original Yoga, it has retained much of the exact same design cue. As you may have noticed, we still have a 360-degree range of motion for the LCD screen, which is what makes the Yoga unique. In fact, that's where it gets its name from. So what does the Pro 2 bring to the table? Well, before I get to that and the unboxing, let's go over price point and specifications. We're looking at a $1,000 machine here. This is the Core i5 configuration, just to give you a view of the actual specifications. They are right there. And as you can see, we've got a Core i5 4200U. That's a Haswell processor, so this is part of Intel's latest 4th gen CPU. The i5 only right now pre-configured comes with 4 gigs of RAM, a 128 gig solid state drive, not sure on the brand of that drive. In terms of wireless connectivity, you have, of course, BGN and Bluetooth 4.0. We've also got, most importantly, one of the biggest upgrades to this machine, a 13.3-inch QHD LED IPS display. So you now have 3200 by 1800 pixels in this screen, which, quite frankly, puts most displays to shame. But more importantly, the original Yoga, one of the big drawbacks for many users was that it only had a 1600 by 900 resolution display. So Lenovo clearly listening to consumers and, destroying any hopes of a poor display being incorporated into this screen, at least based on paper specifications. And then the actual battery is a 4-cell battery. So with that said, not much else to show on the packaging. Of course, we've got the actual Yoga Pro 2, and then over here in this corner, the 4 different positions that they offer, traditional laptop, display mode, a tent mode, and then tablet mode. But with that out of the way, let's get it out of the box. And it's really an exciting product, I will say, because the original was a very cool product and concept, but in terms of execution, this model seems to take all of the important cues into account in terms of just a more refined, more polished product than the original. And that's really important, especially when you're trying to introduce a hybrid, especially in the Ultrabook segment, a market that is quite picky. The MacBook Air seems to be always the benchmark, the standard that people want to compare things to, even if it necessarily shouldn't be. In this case, clearly nothing comparable here between a MacBook Air and this machine, in my opinion. But the $1,000 price point certainly is going to make it comparable for many consumers. But the versatility, also, there's even mention right here of the Dragon Assistant voice software pre-installed. It's just a really good value. And then when you talk about the screen, which is clearly the biggest enhancement beyond every other specification, just being basically a traditional bump up in specifications that you would expect to get from a manufacturer, you are getting a display that generally you can only get with a $1,500 to $2,000 machine. So it'll all depend really whether or not, again, that display is just great on paper. You can see it does come in a little pouch here, protective pouch, pretty tight fitting. And almost got it off. There we go. Go ahead and move the box out of the way for the moment. Show you the balance of the contents in a second. And basically what you can see already is that we've got a silver and black finish here. Lenovo Yoga, the no Yoga, excuse me, logo, just the Lenovo branding. So minimal on the branding. The hinges, when compared to the original, very, very similar. Most of the design really is. One of the things I've noticed immediately, the edge here, a little bit different than the original. Basically seems like it'll better support the tent mode, a little bit more rubber coating around the edges. But in terms of a walkthrough of what you're actually going to expect here, on the right-hand side of the machine, you can see we've got our full-size SD card slot right there. Right next to that, we've got a micro HDMI port, a USB 3.0 port, and then what looks to be the power port. So that all the activity right there on the left-hand side. Most of your action is there. Backside, pretty much all ventilation there, as you can see across the entire frame. And then if we come around to the right-hand side, we've got what looks to be another USB port, but it's not a 3.0. I believe it's a 2.0. Then again, it could be a 3.0 because it's showing charging indication, which would be a feature of a 3.0. So I'll have to verify that. Of course, feel free to post in the comments if I don't update myself in the actual annotations for this video. A headphone jack right there, your volume rocker, as well as what looks to be a mute button, I believe. And then we've got over on the other end of this, again still on the right hand side, a power button as well as a reset button. So you know, pretty well balanced. I like the look. It's industrial. On the bottom side, again, not a lot of stickers, our Windows information. That's pretty much it. So let me actually open this up so you can see the interior of this machine. Keyboard, from what I've seen, a little bit different in layout, but not tremendous. And part of the whole appeal of the Yoga line is that you are still getting that Lenovo, or what many often still call IBM, even though it isn't, that look and feel and durability. And that's really what the Yoga has to offer, but in a much more flexible form factor. So the touchpad, it'll be interesting to see how it fares. Of course, the original Yoga had its issues that besides screen resolution, were the two big pet peeves with that machine, I would say. But again, I like the lines, I like the subdued look, matte finish. Gloss screen, however, for those of you curious, it is a high gloss screen, no question about it. We do have a front-facing webcam right there at the dead center, our Windows button, and as you can see, again, all about that flexibility of being able to completely flip it over and, in effect, now be in tablet mode. Of course, we are upside down. I can use it this way as well. And even though the keyboard is exposed on the bottom side, it is deactivated as soon as you actually flip it over. That's part of the innovation with the original Yoga. You know, some people do not care for the fact that this is all exposed, and I understand why. It leaves a little bit of an unfinished feeling, but I think that it's a very small compromise for what adds up to be a very cool and innovative design. And again, the flexibility gives you a full range, and it does lock into position relatively well from what I can see. I'll back the shot up a little bit here. Attempt to. And I think you will see that you get a pretty nice range of motion, and it all locks in relatively well. It's sturdy, and again, because they've lined the frame with rubber, you can pretty much get even more creative than what Lenovo actually purposes this for, in my opinion. Tent mode, less ideal for me personally than any of the others, but of course it's just another way to showcase with this tablet slash ultra portable Ultrabook, and that's what's great about it. $1,000 is buying you basically the highest res screen that money can buy right now. You're getting a full-size keyboard. It's still lightweight, battery life, because this is a Haswell Ultrabook, shows good promise. And overall build quality is really solid, which is expected from Lenovo. I won't say on all of their machines, but a good number. Let me show you the balance of the contents of the box. And of course, I guess from there, you know, it's just a matter of time before I actually spend enough time to tell all of you whether or not this is a true upgrade. Because, I mean, on paper, as I look at part of the power brick here, the wall adapter end, there's no question that on paper, the actual resolution points to an incredible upgrade. But, you know, the fact that it's so high resolution leaves me to question what things are going to end up looking like. You know, how much will icons be scaled, etc. And if they are so small, then a lot of you who already require reading glasses are going to be very unhappy. I mean, unless you have 20/20 vision, a resolution like this, while it looks great on paper, I'm not sure how practical it will be. So it'll be interesting. Power brick, pretty unique. Not the same one that came with last gen. Pretty compact, again, lending itself to that lightweight form factor. So that's definitely a good thing. And then finally, if I can get in here. Well, no, that's it. Apparently, I'm confused now. It's showing me as if there should be another piece here, but it looks as if that is everything that was on board. I'll go ahead and double check. Of course, paperwork right here. It looks like that's it. It was showing me another power plug, but I am not seeing it. So I'm assuming that's everything, because after all, that is everything that you would need to charge and get going. In terms of paperwork, the usual. You know, quick start guide, warranty, accessories. So really, it's all whether or not the actual style of the Yoga appeals to you. And of course, I think the biggest draw is that price point. Keep in mind, the Core i5 is a great value, but for the small difference of jumping up to the i7, I think it's a warranted upgrade between the additional RAM, because you do go up to 8 gigs of RAM. You also get a 256 gigabyte SSD, besides getting the upgrade in processor, which many would argue is a marginal upgrade, but the balance, I would say, is worth the price difference, especially since these machines are not particularly upgradable, or at least not user-friendly when it comes to upgrades for the average consumer. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them, and of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.